Hey, buddies.
Hi, friends.
There's just so much happening. You guys missed it. I had to fix my camera because I looked like I had jaundice. It was bad. No offense to anyone that has jaundice. Sorry. But, yeah, sorry. It's been a little bit of a scramble because this is my last week working. And of course, my last week they want to give me all these things to do.
Of course.
That's typical. And it's also my last week in school, so I was kind of scrambling. I had a final exam, and then like a knowledge check, and then this presentation, which I just got done doing right before I hit record. And I'm telling you what, first of all, let's talk about the final exam. I do not like, I mean, I can do essay questions, but I don't like when it's like, tell me why the sky is blue. And you have to write 2 to 6 paragraphs as to why it's blue. And obviously, that wasn't a real question, but just as an example. So I'm like trying to answer these questions. Oh, here's an example from the test. What are the behavioral symptoms of someone smoking marijuana or using marijuana? I'm supposed to write 2 to 6 paragraphs of that when it can be done in a sentence. Like, oh, they get like super hungry and dry mouth and lethargic, and sometimes they hallucinate and, you know, very relaxed, and sometimes they're times disoriented. Like, no, 2 to 6 paragraphs for like 10 questions. So it took me literally all day. Tuesday, I think, is when I did it. Or maybe it was yesterday. I don't remember. My days are mixed up. But it took me all day to do 10 questions because of the stupid essay questions. But yeah. Oh, man. And then some I guess, sad news. I was fully prepared that tomorrow I was going to lace up my boots for the last time to go to work. Put the uniform on for the last time. I got home and a mass text message went out. Hey, we're wearing business casual tomorrow. And I'm like,
No, I'm not.
I honestly, I was about to get in there, like, no, I'm not. I'm wearing my uniform. But then I was like, I guess. I mean, I guess. Like, maybe that's just how it was supposed to be. So, like, let me not fight it. Just go with it. So, so yeah, there's that. But, another sad news. I still don't have orders. Let's pull a card. Oh, I think we've had this one before. The little giraffe wearing his little headphones.
Yeah.
Says, ultimate potential. I choose to live life of my fullest potential. I trust that this will draw me towards experience and people that support my growth and accomplishment. Tuning into this frequency, I now reach higher heights than I ever thought possible. Knowing that's an option, why would I have ever turned into anything else? Listen, you see how I'm reading that? That is why my presentation was such a struggle trying to read my script where I'm talking about statistics. Life. Anyways, how's your week been?
Listen, I feel like there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah? Should I go first?
Yeah, because you seem just out of sorts, friend. Like you're freaking out, man.
I am freaking out, man. Like, it's so much to unpack emotionally, this being my last week. But at the same time, I'm so grateful for my career, the people that I've met along the way, and that I'm finally going to have the freedom. It's going to be huge adjustment. And I think that's what's hit me the most, this week, is like how much I'm going to have to adjust to the not military life. Now, the good thing is that I was here where I kind of inched into the adjustment because, like, I didn't have to be in at work at 6:30 every morning for PT, or should I say 5:30 before, because you got morning meetings and then, you know, formation and whatnot. So like I didn't have to do that. I wasn't staying till 1700 every day or later because, you know, dealing with soldier issues or, you know, trying to meet deadlines or last minute bullshit. Like, so it was a nice step for a transition, but like now it's like, now I have like the whole world in front of me and I can do whatever the fuck I please with it, you know. Obviously within reason while I'm still technically in the army, but like I only have to come back one day to get my gift and my award and then clear and then that's it. And I'm just like, oh my god, it's crazy. It's a crazy thing to unpack. So but I'm excited because I'm prepared for this trip. My cousin's gonna watch Severus. I think I've decided to not take him on this trip. I don't think it's gonna be good for him. Um, if I had a van, you know, van life, and had the setup with like the electricity and whatnot, I think he would be okay. But being in the back of my SUV that doesn't have power all the time, I don't think. Other than that, we had Monday, we decided to go to the Dominican place, and like the man was like, "What do you want for your last meal?" And I was like, "I'm not dying." Like, I'm like, "But this is it. Like this is where I wanted to go. Wanted to go to this place." So, we went there. Unfortunately, listen, this isn't racist. It's going to sound racist, but I promise I might be a little racist. The only white person in our group that went out to eat that day ended up with food poisoning and was like sick as fuck. Like he ended up throwing up like an hour or two after we got back and then missed work the next day. And so when we talked to him on Wednesday, I was like, "Didn't you eat like chicken and rice like mostly everyone else did?" Like I mean, I had pork and rice and he's like, "Yeah, but I ate different rice than everybody." I'm like, "Which rice did you get?" And he's like, "The Chinese rice." Why would you get Chinese food from a Dominican place? Like what the fuck? He's like, "I
I've
don't know."
eaten there before, never had a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was just kind of a
Timing.
something laughing in my head because I couldn't say it out loud, you know. But and like, I mean, the ma'am kind of inadvertently said it. She's like, "How are you the only, literally the only one?" I was like, "You got that weak ass stomach," and I just want to say like, white boy shit, like, but it wasn't. I think it was really that. I don't think I've ever seen anyone ever order that the stir fry from there. It's always been either the white rice or the brown rice with the beans in it. So like the fact that he went and got that instead, and he's like, I mean, it was really good, but I'll never go back there again. I was like, oh no, don't say that. He's like, nope, never going back again. I was like, oh my god, poor guy. So
We
I did
eat there
feel,
all the time.
yeah. I mean, I do feel bad because it was my idea, but it's like, yeah, that kind of sucks.
Know your place.
Yeah, and then like I
When in
said,
Rome.
they've been literally like loading up stuff on me, which I don't mind, but it's like
Why now?
yeah, why now? Like I've done more work this week than I probably have the whole 2 years. And that's saying a lot because out of the whole 2 years, if you add up all the time, it probably added up to a week. So if it's not more, it's at least equal to what I've done in 2 years. It's ridiculous. But I mean, I'm glad to help. There's like one more thing that I'm trying to do for the unit before I leave. I already told the major that like it's probably not going to happen until next week because they want a tax op for the brigade. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, HHC has one. It's just, yeah, but we want one for the brigade. Like we have a tax op, but not a tax op. And I'm like, okay, I will see what I can find. Well, everything I found was like company level. So I reached out to a buddy and he's going to get me the 16th MP Brigade's tax op. And I'm like, that's fucking fire right there because 16th MP Brigade is like the best brigade in all of the active duty army. So you guys be good. I'm like, the only thing is you'll have to like alter, like take out the airborne stuff, but like you guys should be.
Good stuff, friend.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much been my week. Just staying busy at work and trying to process through the bucket of emotions that I'm dealing with.
Oh, it's gonna be great, friend.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Very looking.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I kind of had a moment today. We got a new colonel, and from what I understand, This is like the first time he's ever really been in command.
Like,
Uh,
of a
but
brigade.
neither here nor there.
Uh,
No, I mean,
command
ever.
ever?
Apparently. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
How?
I don't know.
No, it does matter. It does. It 100% matters at that level. Like, how have you never been in command of anything? Like, even a platoon?
I don't know, man. So, but neither here nor there, right? He is just very different from the last colonel. And so much so that the SSA was like, tomorrow we will all telework so that we can have a mental health day because the colonel's been in the office for like the last 2 weeks on orders and just stressing everybody out.
I want a mental
So,
health day. Like, why
yeah.
don't we ever get mental health days?
Well, so now I kind of feel bad because I don't know what happened to me. Uh Maybe I just have weak constitution anymore, but we had battle assembly over the last weekend. And so it was like first full week back from I don't know what fuck, it wasn't even a full week. I think we went back to work on Tuesday and then right into BA and then like a whole work week. I don't know. All I know is that Monday I was exhausted to like falling asleep typing, kind of exhausted. And really, I wasn't doing anything, it wasn't like I was staying up late or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe my body was like processing something on the inside. I don't know. But it snowed here Tuesday night into Wednesday. Not like super bad. We got like a couple inches. But I got up to go to the gym because I was just going to power through, and the gym was closed due to the weather. And so I was like, cool, I'm just going to go back to bed and I'll get up at 7. And then, because this is like, what am I going to do for an hour? It's dark and it's cold. And then I was just like, I just like can't today. I was just like, I literally slept like in and out of consciousness for the entire day. Like I got up and went outside and like trudged through my chores, which like was awful because I was so fucking tired.
Mhm.
Like everything felt like I was climbing a mountain. Everything. And of course it like snowed, so the wheels on my wagon don't roll. So I'm just like dragging this like thing through the snow. And anyway, I was just irritated and I like half-assed everything. Like you're fed, you're watered, everything else can wait until another day. And I went back to bed. And like I was surprised at how much I slept.
You
So
needed it.
I did. And but I called in and was like, listen, I don't feel good today. Like I just like can't. I can't function like a human being today. And I slept all day. And I was taking Zycam because I was kind of feeling like a stuffy nose coming on. And I was like, let me just try to get ahead of this. And anyway, like I didn't leave my room like all day yesterday. So I went into work today and I went to the gym this morning and I was like feeling like super great. And then they were like, yeah, we're having like a mental health day tomorrow. And I was like, dang, if I'd have known that, I probably would have just powered through yesterday
Yeah.
because now I kind of feel like shitbag, but it'd be what it be. But it actually is everything working out in my favor. I'm super excited for that. So thank you, universe, because I had drill and because I just haven't been feeling like super motivated. I'm not even motivated, I've just been exhausted. Um, a lot of my stuff has like kind of piled up. And I was like, we have the weekend coming up, but it's like we're supposed to be tiling the floor. And I'm like, I have to, it's mostly stuff outside, but like my bird house needs completely stripped out. The horse barn needs completely stripped out. And all that takes a long time on top of, I don't know where I'm going to put all this shit, literal shit. Um, anyway, and so I was like, it's going to be really hard for me to try to cram all this in to a day. And then that opportunity came up. So I was like, sweet. So like now I can maybe tackle half of it tomorrow and then half of it on Saturday because it's supposed to be warm tomorrow on Saturday. And then it's supposed to just like be winter. So I was really excited about that. I was like really amped up when I left work because I was like, yes, thank you.
So are you guys not doing comp days when you have after battle assembly? Yeah, we're not either. And like this is what blows my mind. Because like I've been seeing it. Like I mean, we've all cuz we had battle assembly last weekend also. and like all of us are just fucking drained. And going in every single fucking day. And like the thing is, there's been a policy that was submitted months ago. Like I'd venture to say at least 6 months ago. Probably when you were still here, it was submitted. I don't remember. Maybe after you left, because I think we were still getting comp days around when you left. No, because then they went to AT. But anyways, since they came back from AT, there hasn't been comp days, and it's been one of those things where it's like, the policy's been there. Why hasn't this been signed when the individual that's responsible for signing it leaves in August? And I'm just like, why don't you guys just make a decision? And the general consensus is because there's a tattletale within the office that brought us out. I'm like, this is ridiculous, because like you're getting paid no matter what. Like we want to sit here and talk about, oh, it's going to cost $20,000 if everybody took the day off. One, not everyone would be taking the same day off. You
Yeah.
alternate it. But like, why would you? You're really not saving the government any money by keeping us there, because what does Gen do every single day, all day?
Yeah.
Especially Battle Assembly, because like, look, I typically don't ask for like getting out of stuff. Like if I got to be there, I got to be there. Like there's been a lot of people that try to put those bugs in my ears. It's like, why are you here? Fucking, you shouldn't be here. Like you're not. This isn't a requirement for you. But like if I'm told to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. So I had approached Major LaSalle last week. I said, listen, this is really awkward because I don't ask for stuff like this. But do I really need to be here this weekend? And she's like, yes. I'm like, it's literally a waste of my time. She's like, it's a waste of everybody's time. I'm like, yeah, but it's like a requirement for you guys and it's not one for me. But that's fine. Like, I'll be here. Can you guess what I did all weekend?
The same thing you do every
The
day?
same thing I do every day. I fucking sit there and I do homework and I watch movies. Like I did, I came in, and it's so weird because I was there Saturday, and like because I sit in the back corner where it's technically S2, like people start filtering like, oh, we lost our desk. I'm like, literally just this weekend. I'm like, this is my last work or weekend that I work Battle Assembly. Like it's, you guys can have it back, afterwards, but I'm not moving. Sunday, some captain was sitting in my chair asleep. Now, mind you, this is like 7:45 in the morning when I walk in, and I'm like, excuse me. And he looked, he's like, oh, I didn't think you were going to be here. Why? I was here yesterday. And I said that this is my last weekend, but I need my workspace. And he's like, okay. And then he decides to sit that hallway. I don't know if you remember, but it's very small in between the cubicles. He decides to sit on the end of the desk that's right behind where I sit. So he's like blocking that. So every time like I went to get coffee, had to go to the bathroom, I had to like squeeze. And I'm like, I know I'm small, but like I ain't that small. Like, come on. Like to fit in between like this much of a hole. It was ridiculous. But yeah, I just sat there.
So I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And then, we had end of day formation, which everybody went to, which was shocking because like the major was like, I've never been to any of the formations here. Like, oh, but we're supposed to go. And she's like, well, I figured we'll go down for support. I'm like, okay. So we went down together. She's like, where do we stand? I'm like, well, you're an officer. You guys typically stand in the back. She's like, we don't have like our own little formation in the back. I'm like, no, I got to stand in the formation and hate my life because it's always wrong. And I'm just grinding my teeth, punching my fists. Like, but I mean, it wasn't bad. It was, we got out fairly early on Sunday. Saturday was a full day, but I felt bad for like everybody else because Wednesday I slept in. I was supposed to have an appointment, but I got to sleep.
Yeah, I've been feeling like a little bit of a derelict of duty lately. But like Sunday, you know what it is? It is a growing moment for me, I think, where I'm just kind of like, I'm done putting everything else before myself and missing out on shit with my kids, and like I'm done.
I
So
was just
I
gonna say
just tell
that.
people what I do and like what I'm gonna, hey, like I don't ask, I just say I'm not doing
Yeah.
that or I whatever. So like on Sunday, I left at like 12:30 because Riley had her first 4-H thing with the dog training
Oh,
thing.
cool.
And yeah, that was super fun. And so, and then like I wasn't there yesterday and I'm not gonna be there. No one's gonna be there tomorrow, but I'm like, whatever, because like I'm done running myself ragged for what?
Yep.
You know? And I guess I'm just looking at it kind of like we talked about last week, where like nobody's really looking for me to do a whole bunch of stuff. So then
Right.
I'm going to use it to my advantage. So, with that being said, though, and like with the, I don't know if I'm going to be coming back next year. I don't know. So I got some people that are like, oh, yeah, we put, and I saw the position is on the like wish list, if you will, for
Hmm.
next FY. And I'm not like freaking out or anything, but like I spent today just kind of like getting an idea of like what I would do next. And it was funny because I'm laughing because I'm like, wow, I feel like a 18-year-old kid who's like getting ready to graduate high school. And it's like, well, now what do I do? Except for I'm almost 40 and it's
Yeah,
not cute.
that's
Um,
that's where my headspace is.
and so I was talking to somebody in the office and they're like, well, it sounds like to me like maybe you should just go back to the Miltech program for like at least the next 5 years. And I'm like, I don't, yeah, you're right. That would probably be the responsible thing to do.
Hmm.
But to me, that's the fear-based thing to do. That's the comfortable, safe thing that I don't want to do that. And I'm tired of doing shit I don't
Then
want to do.
don't.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
So I
don't
was
like.
online looking for like different things. Like I feel like I might just be somebody that doesn't have a career and I don't care because you know what? I had one. I tried it and
Yeah,
I didn't like
yeah.
it.
I mean,
And I was
it.
like, because you know what it is? I don't want to go back to a situation where like I have all these fucking hard times and I get it. Every job has hard times. All right. But I want something that's like more flexible, where maybe I create my own schedule or there's some type of, work life balance or I don't know. I don't know what job that is, but I'll figure it out. Like if I have to have 4 different jobs, that I just float around. Sometimes I feel like maybe that would make me happier. Like I'll just be a bus driver and a Pilates instructor and a mobile fucking uh notary. I don't
Yeah.
know. A substitute teacher. I don't know. But like I know one thing and that is I want something different. And so I'm not going to fall back into a fear-based mentality of well, I don't have a plan, so let me just do this because I know that I can do that because
I mean that, and I think that's something that like we need to normalize more in our society is doing things that are fulfilling because as a society we just work ourselves to the bone, and like that was one of the biggest adjustments that I had to make. It took me 18 years to, and then coming here to realize like why did I put in like that type of work when it wasn't necessary. I shouldn't have been working myself to the bone. Like, obviously, there are some situations where, like, you got to, but,
sure.
and I think it wasn't as bad as, like, I'm making it seem now because, like, I was very passionate about, training and leading soldiers or training dogs and all. Like, I was very passionate about all of that. So sometimes it didn't necessarily feel like work, but, like, as a society, we need to start normalizing things that, like, are fulfilling for us where it doesn't feel like work. Like, we work 95% of our lives. So it should be something that you enjoy and that you feel passionate about. And if it doesn't have to be a career, you know what I mean? Like it can be exactly like you said, like floating around and, doing temp jobs here and there just to bring in some cash and just doing what makes you happy and finding what your true passion is going to be, which I really think, especially once the weather starts getting a little bit nicer and you can start reconnecting with nature a little bit more instead of being like,
Yeah.
I'm so fucking cold. I think like you're gonna find something's gonna hit you in the face and you're gonna be like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I needed. And somehow you're gonna make it happen.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not freaking out. I'm not panicking. I'm not anything. I'm taking every day in stride, but like I do feel like I got to like at least know which way to point my compass.
Yes.
And that way, because my thought process is like, well, let me start looking at some things that might interest me because if there's like training I need to do or a course I need to take or, whatever, I could start doing those things now.
Hmm.
And then that way, if and when the time comes, I kind of got all that educational part out of the way and I can just
Right.
So, one of the guys in my office, he sent me there's like a veteran career fair going on Tuesday. Um, so I registered for it. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to go there because I'm not 100% sure I'm ready for that just yet. Like, I don't think I'm ready to be dropping resumes anywhere. Um, but they do have some resources there that I'd like to see if they're worth anything, like revising your military experience into like civilian assets on your resume and stuff like that, which I thought would be kind of cool because that's some of the reason why like I've never really ventured outside of like the Miltech program or doing something military related was because like not a lot of it I capable of translating into something. So it's like I have experience with payroll and timekeeping and all that stuff, but it's not with systems that anybody knows.
Right.
And so it's like I know the general concept behind how to pay people and how to keep time for like time cards and stuff. You just got to show me the system you're using.
Well,
It's
let
like,
me ask you this though. Like, is that going to be fulfilling for you?
oh no, I'm just saying like in the
So,
past, I was
because,
always looking
right,
for
I
the next
understand. But
dollar,
like,
you know.
I'm getting somewhere. So, you want some blunt honesty?
Yes.
I don't think you're going to find what you're looking for at some job fair. I honestly think that your passion is going to be starting some business on your own. And
100.
and I really think like that's where your calling is. It's just a matter of what are you going to go into business for? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I think you need to figure out like you obviously we both we have this part within our core that we want to serve and help others. So like I would explore that a little bit more. You know, whether it's being a Pilates instructor or, getting into the Reiki, which if, depending on where you're at, like you make some obviously some decent money
Yeah.
where that could be your sole purpose,
I know. Did you ever
or
see Lori's house?
yes, I've seen Lori's house. I mean, I know she was a paralegal prior, to her
Yeah.
doing that full time, and I don't know what her husband does, but like if that's what she does full time and that's what she's passionate about and that's what she enjoys. Now, granted, she doesn't just do Reiki, like she does
Yeah.
life coaching and she's kind of like a jack of all trades for like the spiritual community. So like maybe that's something, and maybe it's this. Maybe we podcast full time. Who knows? I
I
don't
love
know.
it. But no, you're right. And like I've been I can't remember if it was uh I don't know. I was reading something somewhere and like a lot of it was just resonating with me as far as like what I said earlier about like um putting myself first and not just like in situations like with people on like an individual
Right.
basis, but like in your whole life,
Yeah.
you
No, I
know, like
understand exactly what you mean is like making sure that your life is fulfilling to you, even if that means like, helping others could be fulfilling for you, I mean, we're kind of in the same boat because like as long as I point my compass in the right direction, I think I'm going to go wherever the universe leads me and it's going to be, what it's meant for me. And so that's just what you got to do. You got to calibrate that compass and figure out, okay, what is it that is going to be fulfilling and then explore those fields. And like we're both like high school kids fucking starting over like what do I do now my next chapter of life, like I literally that's been my fucking question of the week this week. I'm like, I'm starting a new chapter in my life. I'm
and
starting
like
all over. What do
I
we do?
definitely like I feel like I don't know how to do it, but this is just where I've been lately. I feel like I will almost the best thing I could describe would be like a guidance counselor, right? But not in a sense of just, oh, let me help these high school kids like create their schedule and like whatever. But like I just feel like there are things that I try to ask my own kids, because they are getting close to venturing out into the world of questions that I feel like nobody ever really asked me,
Hmm.
right? And about exactly what we're talking about. What do you think would interest you? And like go explore that. Like now is the time to explore that where like I feel like for me at a young age, I just got so caught up in uh that survival mindset. Like how do I go out and make as much money as I possibly can?
Right.
And then I feel like when you approach it like that, you wind up kind of deviating from whatever it was that you were supposed to do
Hmm.
because you just take the first thing that comes that meets your immediate need at that moment, and then it becomes your safety net, and then you're just like, well, you know, it's too late for me now, so I might as well just ride this out and, whatever. I mean, I put in 15 years as a civilian,
Yeah.
and so I was like halfway there to retirement, maybe half, I don't know, whatever. But it's a lot of time to invest in something that was really just a thing I did because I needed a job,
Right.
And then at first I did like it, because like you said, I felt like I was helping people and making a difference. And even if it was just, it was nice that when I ran into some of those people later on in my career, that they're, oh man, I miss you. Do you think you could come back? I fell apart after you left. Like, we need you, that like that was really not that I needed people's validation, but it was nice to know that I made an
Right.
impact.
Yeah.
And so I feel like looking back on my life, that had I had someone to make a bigger impact in the fact that like the things that people say, like you can be anything that you want to be, and really sat down and talked about the importance of goal setting. Like I always thought that was lame, and like who fucking cares about your vision board, or like who, whatever. But like if you don't know where you're going, how are you ever going to get there?
Right.
And so I just feel like maybe in those kind of more fundamental years where it's socially acceptable to like live at your parents' house and kind of freeload for a little bit while you go out and explore those different things, or you are working some, retail job. Um, Not to say that working retail is bad, but I'm just saying like um that like those entry level jobs,
Right.
to just, help pay while you're going to school, or while you're trying to figure out what it is that you wanna do, and
Yeah.
while you're trying to work towards that goal. And I kind of, like, didn't take advantage of a lot of those opportunities that you had, and so some parts of me, like, wish that I could do some type of, guidance counseling or public speaking to, those crowds. Not that a lot of them are really ready to hear it.
Right.
But so even to do that in like a mid-level college years,
I was gonna
those.
say maybe more young adult, you
Yeah.
know.
But just that, sit down and like we're talking now, like think about the things that bring you fulfillment, and get down to those core values, and, you know, that type of stuff to
I
impact.
honestly really think that like life coaching. And like not restrict yourself to like, oh, only young adults or
Sure. Yeah.
adolescent teens or whatever. Like I think life coaching, as long as like there's obviously, because you're a huge empath, you just got to work on putting that shield up so you're not sucking in, because obviously with life coaching you're gonna deal with people's problems type
Right.
of thing. So like work on getting that shield up so you're not sucking in their negative energy. And I think honestly that is your way of helping. And then maybe doing the apothecary stuff on the side, because you're really passionate about that last summer, like super excited about it.
Yeah,
And
you
I
you
just
know
think
what
that's
happened? I was
what
talking.
happened.
Well, actually, Lori brought it up, and I don't think I've ever told her that, that was something that interested me, but she said that she started to go down that path, and she brought up a really valid point that made me go, I don't know if I wanna do that," which was, it's a huge responsibility to, like, even though they're herbal remedies, if they do have, like, conflict with other medications that you might be taking. And so she was like, it was too much of a responsibility for her, that, like, you could possibly kill somebody because maybe they didn't list all of their medications or didn't tell you the whole story, and so you prescribed something and you might have
Yeah.
taken somebody out. And I was like, "Ugh, that's a really true fact."
Yeah.
But I do feel like, that's the other thing, like, I do feel kind of a calling to get more into, like, gardening and
Mhm.
working with, like, whether it be flower farming, maybe not so much in, like, a medicinal need, but, like,
Well, it
just.
doesn't even have to be like on a grand scale of medicinal needs, like just natural, um, like supplements, like we know
Yeah.
dandelions, for example. Dandelions have so many properties to it. Like we just look at it like weeds. Like obviously don't go in your backyard where you use like pesticides and pick your dandelions and start eating them and making dandelion tea. But like going out into the wild and getting, these dandelions and making tinctures and things out of it, like I don't foresee that really having a negative effect on medication. But
Yeah,
like,
but it
so
was
like
just something
basic
that
stuff.
she said that I was
No,
like,
like
"Oh, now that."
I definitely get that, but I'm at the same time I'm kind of like what kind of apothecary stuff was she trying to get into that would counteract like somebody's prescription medication? Because then like I feel like that's like some witch's bane fucking I don't know what was it worm's bane or whatever like that super advanced stuff versus like
Yeah.
oh here's these dandelions or here's this
Hey, if you have a
thistle.
common cold, like,
Right,
drink
like
some
things like that,
turmeric tea or
or
whatever.
basic stuff that helps like boost your immune system and help with heart health. Like I think like basic stuff, I think you'd be okay, and I think that would be more of like just a side gig. But I
Yeah.
really think that your calling is something along life coaching, and I've kind of felt that way about you like for a while, just because the conversations that we have, and because your energy is like so addictive. Like you just make people feel better. Like I could be having like
Aw,
the worst day of
thanks.
my life and then me and you have a conversation. I'm like, I feel so much better. Like I know my
Oh,
problems still exist, but like I feel so much better about it. And you kind of help give like that clear outlook so that way I can really tackle like whatever the issue at hand is. So I don't know.
it's
That's
funny because there's a guy in my office, he's super anxious, right? He gets stressed out about a lot of stuff, so he was talking about he's getting ready to buy a new house, and he was talking about how he was freaking out and getting super anxious because they were gonna have the house doesn't have a central air conditioner in it yet, and so, they'd like to put one in, and he's like, "Oh, I'm freaking out, and I'm stressed out about it," and I'm like, "What are you stressed out about?" I was like, "Let's rephrase here. We're not stressed. We're curious." Because 'Cause I'm like, worst case scenario, what happens? You don't get an air conditioner right now, right? That's because right now he's worried that it's going to be outside of his financial
hmm
means. And I'm like, so he's like, oh, I'm afraid and I'm this. And I'm like, think about all these like kind of negative things that you're like putting towards this. I said, what you are is you're curious. You're curious to find out how much it costs so that you can then create a plan in order to achieve your goal. That's not stress. That's a find. And he was like, okay, little miss positive affirmation.
but I mean, but you're dead on. Like you're dead
Yeah.
on with it. Like you're reframing those emotions that because a lot of people, I mean, we're just as guilty of it. Where we put these generalizations of these feelings because we don't truly know what we're actually feeling.
Yeah.
Like
Well, they
obvi-
say that your body doesn't know the difference between when it's, scared and when it's happy, I think, right?
it's excitement and nervousness.
Excitement and
Yeah,
nervousness, there
yeah.
it is.
So it
And
doesn't know the difference because like
and
you
so that's
phys-
why I told him, "So you're over here making it seem like you're scared and nervous when really you're just super excited
yeah.
about finding out this information so you can create your plan
Right.
forward."
And then like let's dive in that a little bit deeper, like there's obviously maybe some sort like cuz there's obviously some a little bit of fear based there with the
Sure.
unknown, but it's like so let's explore why are we fearing that unknown and which you did perfectly like okay, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? So I mean, holy shit, like you saw how frantic I was when I first came on.
I
Like
know.
I was
It's so
like
different.
yeah, and like just the five. Well, I mean, we've been talking for like 30 minutes now, but like I'm already calmed down and I'm relaxed. Like it's just, you just have that natural ability,
Well, thanks,
and
friend.
I really do think that that's somewhere. Like I think that's at least in the direction of
Yeah.
what your purpose is gonna be.
So, that's kinda what I did today was I literally Googled jobs that are befitting of a Gemini because, while I don't think that I have, like, ADHD or anything like that, I do, however, get very bored with things very easily,
hmm
and, um, but at the same time have, like I do, I'm such, like, that twin mentality because I do feel like I'm always a conflict, as far as like one side of me feels this way and one side of me feels another way. And I assume that everyone feels like that. Um, but I don't think they do. So,
I think
one
to a
part
certain extent, because like
yeah.
we all have like our egos, like
Yeah.
Penelope. Penelope is a fucking good example of what you're talking about because this bitch is over here. Listen, like I was talking to Bravo yesterday about this shit, like this trip. I was like, I'm scared. Like I have these negative thoughts. Penelope's popping up. She's like, what if Sheldon gets taken by a bear? What if a hawk tries to steal him? What if he falls off a cliff? And like all these fucking thoughts are like,
Jeez, Jen.
Penelope, all these thoughts are coming up. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't go on this trip. And then I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. Like, you're just afraid because we're getting like freedom for the first time. And it's that unknown type thing because like we don't know what to expect. I might be sleeping in the parking lot of a Walmart one night because I can't find a
Do it all
campground.
the time.
But it's
See
fine.
campers there all the time,
Yeah.
so
I mean, it's fine.
socially acceptable.
Yeah, it's van life, except it's SUV life for me. But
And you know what I think about, right? And I think you and I are kind of in a similar situation right now in the sense of it's the next step in your life, right? Is like trying to figure out what movie you want to watch. So, like when we were growing up, you flicked through the TV, right? Or you went to Blockbuster and stared at the wall, but you usually had like a general idea when you went in there of what you wanted, right? But like when you're just perusing the channels on the TV, it was very limited to what you could find for movies based on like your channel
right.
selection. And then you just like, oh, here's the guide, and this is what's on. There might be 4 movie channels in your lineup, and you go, oh, I'll just turn this on, right? And like, I don't know how many times I've watched like the middle to the end of a movie and never really saw the beginning because I always caught it on
Yeah.
TV. But now you have all these streaming apps, right? So I could tell you, I probably have like 9 different streaming apps that do movies. And you go in there and it's like you spend so much time because the choices are boundless.
Yeah.
And so now we're in this place where you have the opportunity to do literally anything you want to do, and the choices are so limitless. It's like you feel like you're going to be scrolling for
Yeah.
days,
It's
you know?
overwhelming.
Yeah, it's overwhelming because it's like I could literally do anything that I wanted. And then when you think about it like that, it's like, wow, okay, I got to narrow this down to at least a genre. Are we watching a rom-com? Are we watching an action film? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And that's what I was saying before about at least setting the freaking compass in a direction
Hmm.
so that you can at least start, moving that way. And
Yeah.
so like so that's kind of like setting a genre for movie watching. Like, let me
I
at
think
least
that's like a
dial this
really,
in.
really good analogy. And I think I've done it. Like I think I definitely have my compass pointed at least in a direction because
Oh, I
like
feel like you're in a great place.
yeah, it's just a matter of like processing like I'm fucking free, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, but I do think like I am definitely headed in the right direction. It's just there's, there's a couple split offs that, I'm going to come to the crossroads and be like, want to go this way or this way? You know what I
Van
mean?
life or stay stationary and run a kennel.
Yeah, like
Can
that's
I have a mobile kennel?
yeah. I've thought about that too because I think did we might have talked about this
Oh,
last week where like maybe we didn't. If I decide to build a van this summer and live out it for 2 years, like van life, like it's a whole ass community. So I could run into other people and be like, "Hey, I have grooming experience. Would you like me to groom your dog?" Or, "Hey, I have training experience. Would you like me to teach you how to tell your dog how to sit and stay and all that stuff?" Like, just earn some spending monies while I'm out
yeah,
there,
yeah.
or
So excited.
or maybe or another route I could go is like, if I start doing well on TikTok and I start advertising this stuff like, "Hey, I'm going to be in the Northwest from this month to this month, schedule time with me."
Yeah.
Type of thing. So I could
Oh
always
my
do
god, that's
something.
exciting. I love that.
I could do something like that, but then again it's like cuz I don't know. It really depends on I guess it just really depends on how the next few months.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
maybe as much as I love freedom, like maybe it's not going to be the life for me. Maybe I'm going to be like, I kind of really miss peeing in a regular toilet, which I do know that is a thing for me because of Afghanistan and Iraq. Like I did have those moments where I'm like, I am so sick and tired of walking 5,000 feet just to go to the bathroom.
It's so funny you say that because we were talking about it. So today I was walking around the office and I posed the question, if you could do anything that you wanted to do for a job, what would you do? I got some really awful. Well, I got a stripper, which I thought was interesting, and
Okay.
their reasoning for it was because, well, I would be young and in shape, and I'm like, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
not necessarily. You
The
don't
other
go
one was
backwards in age. Like, I don't know
right?
if they know
The
that or
other
not, but
one was, to be Hugh Hefner's, beneficiary and just take over the Playboy Mansion, and
isn't
I
he
was like,
dead?
"I don't know." And I was like, "Okay," also not helpful. And then I got Homesteader, which was, like, on the way other side of that spectrum.
Mhm.
And so this other guy was like, "Yeah, I think I would be okay with living, like, completely off the grid." And I was like, "See, I don't know if I would be, because I like being able to turn on the lights as many as I want, whenever I want." And I said, "Also, the bathroom situation. Like, sometimes when I see people's off-grid setups, some are really cool,
Mhm.
but I was like, some of them seem a lot like permanent camping. And as much as that can be fun and connecting with nature is great, I think the army has ruined that for me. Like, do you know how many times I've been in an outhouse that was like, "Oh my god, so bad you can't even breathe and you don't
Yeah.
even wanna pee," because it's like,
It's
I
that
have to
bad. You're like you're in there like this,
but
and you
before
could
you even get there, when
and
you
you
get
could
about
still
50
smell
feet
it.
away, you're like, "Oh my god, I think I'm gonna barf."
Yeah. Yep.
But, yeah, so definitely toilets is a
Yeah.
thing, so
That's
I could see
definitely
that.
like one of the
But
main things I've been thinking about, like if I build this van, because there are things like that, those compost toilets, and it's like I don't think because I saw another video and I'm like, oh, that's not nearly like the guy was carrying it like a suitcase when he went to
mhm,
empty it. I'm like, oh, that's not bad at all. You just turn the little thing and you dump it. You don't ever see it. You don't ever see it. So
yeah,
like, it's fine. And then you drop like this little it's kind of like a Tide Pod or whatever to like help break up the stuff. It's like I
mhm.
don't know, but like I was like, okay, that might not be too bad. But
And
like,
then if you can normalize it somehow, right? Like,
right.
somehow make it look a lot like a toilet,
Hmm.
you know, you just don't flush, I don't know, but
Yeah.
anyway.
I don't know. Like there's definitely so many possibilities. And I do think that I could do it, and I think I would be fulfilled doing it. But my thing is like getting from point A to point B. Because if I build a van, like there are certain things that are a requirement for me. Like I have to have enough power with like the solar setup or the solar system that they call it to be able to run my PC. And I would get a Starlink so that way I could have internet because gaming is obviously a huge part of my life. And then obviously the podcast, like being able to connect with other people, like that is a huge part of my life that I'm not going to be I know how I am. Like I'm going to be like say I'm just camped out in fucking Grand Canyon. It's like, okay, I can only see the Grand Canyon so much, or oh, it's fucking really shitty outside, so let me sit in my van. Like I have to sit in my van. So like I gotta have gaming at some point. So like the biggest part that's very intimidating to me with building my own van is the solar system. Like I want to make sure that I do it right. I think the plumbing it seems fairly easy, and like the compost toilet, like there's so many different setups. Like I can make one of the best ones I saw it was like a box. It just looked like part of like the bench or whatever, and the bench part lifted up and it turned into a wet bath. So like you could shower, like you could just, shower there, you could hang your wet clothes, and then the compost toilet was there and you can like slide it out. So I'm like, that's not bad. Like that's a decent setup. So I don't know. It's just very intimidating. And like, can I
Well,
do
don't
it?
let it intimidate you. Just keep an open mind.
Hmm.
See how this next couple of weeks goes with your or months or however long you're gonna be gallivanting around and, take the notes of things to improve or things that I really feel like are non-negotiable for me, and
Hmm.
then see kind of like a pros and cons list, like these were all the things that went well and these are all the things that I feel could do better.
Yeah.
And oh, hey, this like do better part is totally achievable if I just changed, a few minor things,
Right.
and then I'd be totally set and I would be 100% comfortable with this. Or you're like, okay, this do better list is like way outside of my
Yeah.
wheelhouse, outside of my comfort zone. Like I'm talking, this is otherworldly and not for me,
Yeah.
you know? And then you just make your decision off of that. And
I just don't know like how much would really be on my con list because like as long as I can be protected from the elements, warm when it's cold because I thought about that too. There's a couple van lifers that I see that they stay in the cold because they go snowboarding and stuff and I'm like I haven't gone snowboarding since I was in Germany. I would love to do that. But what would I do with Sheldon? And like this one girl, she lives out of her car. and doesn't. She leaves her dog in the car. And I'm just like, doesn't leave the car running because like just make sure the dog's set up with like blankets, food and water. And I'm like, it could be feasible. But I just don't know if I wouldn't do that to Sheldon in a car. A van, like he'd have a lot more room. But I think like my SUV I wouldn't be. It's not
I
that's
mean,
not
it's not like you're gonna be gone for days.
right, but I mean still, like I want him to be able to have like at least a floor to run back and forth and play with his toys. Even though I know
Yeah.
he doesn't do that during the day because he's such a lazy fucking dog. Like I'm telling you what, when he was a puppy, I remember this. He would wake me up in the middle of the night I'm saying when he was a puppy, like fit in my hands like this, like brand new puppy. Like he would sleep with me, like right on my chest, and he would wake up 3 or 4 times throughout the night to play with his teddy bear, get that energy out, and then he'd be right back out. Somewhere between the ages of 2 and he's just turned 5. So, somewhere between those ages, he somehow turned into this lazy dog. And I blame New York because he doesn't have a backyard to play in. And I haven't spent enough time like taking him to the dog park. Now, obviously, he doesn't have Huron to play with, but like this motherfucker will sleep in. Like if I don't have to be at work, he will let me sleep in and he'll be right there with me. And if I wake him up early, like if I before when I was actually getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to work out, he would get up with me, eat, and he would crawl right back up underneath the covers. Like that's just how he was. Like,
Oh my god, I wish. My dog is like such a freaking routine monster.
mhm,
I get let out at 7. You will feed me at 7:05.
mhm,
And like he's a bully. And not like in a mean way, but like
right,
he just gets
yeah,
hyperactive and like he like oh my god, he's so funny when it's like and he's really excited about his routine, like
mhm,
getting up and going out and eating breakfast. I mean, his whole body is just like,
yeah,
oh my god. And he's just and what he does is he just like circles like around you and he's looking at you and he's like, we're going this way, we're going that way, we're going this way. We could anywhere
yeah,
you want to go. Let's just get to the food. Let's just get to the thing.
yeah,
And so, like, if you're trying to sleep in on a weekend, like, you literally cannot move
mhm,
because the second that you like roll over or adjust your arm, he's like, ready,
yep.
ready? How about now? How about now? How about now?
That's
How
that's
about now?
how that's how Huron was, but mainly because he wanted to eat. Like he wasn't necessarily like you're going to take me out at this time. It was food based, but I think Sheldon I think it's going to get fixed a little bit as far as like the laziness just because like we're obviously going to be very active on this trip, doing a lot of hiking and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I think it's going to fix it a little bit, but like I am very appreciative of like, he does like to sleep, but the point of all that was like I think while I'm gone during the day, unless I leave something out for him to get into, because he ate my chapstick the other day.
Oh no.
Brand new tube of chapstick. I was pretty pissed about it. I'm like, where did you even find that? Like, what the fuck? But like for the most part, I think he just sleeps all day long. So he would
So,
probably
but
be
that's what I'm saying.
okay.
Like, so what you could do too is like before you go to, let's say you wanted to go snowboard for an hour or two or whatever,
Hmm.
like just make sure that you go and do something with him first so he's kind of
Yeah.
like burnt out and then he'll be more inclined to be like,
Yeah, and that's kind of what this girl does before she goes snowboarding. Like, she'll take him on a walk and then throw a ball or whatever around. Wear him out, let him do all the things, and then, or I think it's a she, and then make sure that she has food, water, plenty of blankets, and all that stuff. So the dog's like good, and you're right. Like it's not like I'm gonna be snowboarding, for fucking days at a time. Like I think when I used to go snowboarding in Germany, we'd be on the mountainside for probably about 8 hours, and like half of that would be like because we're going back up the mountain after,
yeah,
and then eating or whatnot. So I think that's definitely something that I could explore next winter if I decide to do this van life stuff,
yeah,
and I might not even decide to build a van. Like I honestly like if I can survive out of my SUV, then I'll throw everything into storage and just survive out of my SUV. Like, what's the point of wasting a bunch of money building a van that I'm only going to use for a couple years? You know what I mean? So, I can go a couple years without my PC because I have my laptop, so I can get my gaming internet. I check into a hotel every once in a while, so I think that would end up being sufficient. It's just a matter of like being cramped up in an SUV.
yeah.
But I don't even think I'm going to be cramped. I don't know. There's so many unknowns right now. Like I'll let y'all know here in a couple weeks because this time
Well,
next
they have,
week.
I mean, I don't know what you have, but they have all those really cool things that you like zip off the back of your lift gate and you leave the lift gate open and then it has like a tent extension almost where you could set up your bed in the car
Hmm.
and then you have, like a table to eat at and like your cooking stuff out there and you just kind of expand out into a tent space.
So you want to know everything that I got because I spent quite a bit of monies on for this. So I bought an air mattress that
Right?
comes
We talked
in,
about that.
yeah, that comes in the parts that for the back seat. I have this compartment like bin. It has like 3 compartments, and you can put inserts that I already have packed. And like as I was packing this stuff, I was like, I think I packed too many clothes. But part of me thinks I don't have enough. Like I have enough to keep me warm, and also like, if it's too hot out, then I have like summertime clothes. And I wear, obviously, I think if you go back and scroll through our videos on the Cosmic Compass, you'll probably see this sweater half the time because I don't know why, but for some reason on Thursdays it always fluctuates between this one, the other air assault hoodie that I wear, and then like maybe one of my red hoodies. But I wear like pretty much the same clothes every single week. Obviously, I wash them, but like it's not like I need like a wide variety of clothes. So I have that bin. I have a cool little camping chair. So I have a camping chair, but like this one folds up even smaller. It's like
Ooh.
obviously space is a big thing. So I have a small camping chair that's really comfortable because I broke that shit out and tested it. I have a little table to set up for like my Jetboil and whatnot. I have camping cooking stuff. Um, I bought an awning that like you can either stretch it over the back part of your car or on the side of your car, and so it's like a canopy type thing. I have an outdoor shower thing so I can shower outside. I bought curtains for like the back seat, so like the whole back seat's gonna be behind a curtain so I can sleep in peace. What else did I get? Oh, and then if it's warm, I have this thing that slides over my back door. So then I can roll my window down and it has like the zipper, so it has like the mesh, the bug
Mm.
window, or I can close it and it's also protective of the rain, so it has like the rain guard or whatever. So I am pretty much set to like live out of my car for as long as necessary because I
Dope.
I also spent this money because I'm prepared to live out of my car even after this trip. Just because I don't know what's going on as far as living conditions, or living whatever. Like my dad did say that I could stay with them for a little bit, but it's like it's kind of
Been there.
awkward. But
Yeah.
but at the same time, it was her idea, so maybe this is kind of a step. But like, it's still awkward for me because like I'm
Yeah,
not
but at
going to
least now
just
you still have an option and you're like, "Oh, I'm
yes,
super comfy and I'll
right.
just go do my own
Yeah.
thing."
So I think that my biggest thing that's going to help me decide because this is the great news that I found out today. So I called transportation. I said, "Hey, so this is what's going on. I don't have my orders. I'm getting ready to go on terminal leave. Like I was supposed to do everything backwards. Um where like can I schedule over the phone, once I get my orders?" And she said, "Yeah, absolutely." She's like, "You can even email it, but just call us first and you'll email it and do it that way." I said, "Okay." I'm like, "How long do I have storage for a year?" She's like, "A year from when you retire." I'm like, "Wait a minute. So it's not a year from when you pick up?" And she said, "No." She's like, "So if we were to pick up your stuff now, when do you retire?" I was like, "October." She's like, "You would have from October until next October plus all this extra." Wow. So that means I practically have a year and a half of free storage where I don't have, so I'm not stressing. Like I'm going to have all my necessities. So if I do decide, like, I find like a small apartment or something that I want to live in temporary, or even staying at my dad's, I don't know how I'm going to set up my computer at my dad's house. But even if I did stay there, like, I have things that, are going to get me through until I find something more permanent. Or I just find a climatized storage facility and say, here's where you can drop it off, put it in storage where it's only like a couple $100 a month, and then off on the road I go. So I'm not, that's like a huge stress relief there. It's just the only stress is like getting my order so I can get my stuff picked up. So now the only other thing that's going to help me determine, or I guess be a determination factor, is will Sarah allow me to bring Sheldon to, which it's a boarding facility, so I would think that she would. So if that's the case, I'll literally live out of my fucking car. There's a Planet Fitness there in Lima that I can shower and go to the bathroom and whatnot. Can't I don't know if I'm going to camp out there because it is Lima and Lima's pretty fucking but at least I know that I have those options and I'm perfectly fine with like being homeless, you know. So
Such a tag that like I don't think is befitting of what you're doing.
I don't think so either.
You're prepared to be adventurous
Yes.
and to do things outside of the norm for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome.
Because here's the other
Honestly.
thing too. And this was a conversation that me and Major Lasalia had this week because like this is something she wants to do with her family like when she retires like but she wants to do the RV. She doesn't want to like live in it. She wants to do the RV, which I'm like I would love to, but like it's just too big for me. Like I don't think I could drive that around. Plus versatility. Like there's places I want to be able to go, and she was like I think we're gonna start off like internationally first. I'm like so I don't know if we ever talked about this, but when I was in Afghanistan, I actually had this plan to backpack through Europe, spending most of my time in Italy. And I'm like, I was thinking about, I was like, maybe, just maybe next summer, me and Sheldon will backpack through.
Amazing.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, we'll
I
see.
love
We'll
it.
have to see where I'm at financially because obviously I'm only going to get so much with retirement, but I am like 99% certain I'm going to get 100% disability. Because I just found out yesterday that PTSD alone is 70%. Got it. So I have at least 70% just with my PTSD. So you add in on top of that my anxiety, my shoulder issues, the fact that I've had cancer twice, my synthroid, this vestibular dysfunction that they don't know what's fucking causing it, my knees, my back, my neck. I'm sitting at least 100%, if not more. Because obviously that's a I didn't know that was a thing too, but you can get more than 100%, but it doesn't give you more money. You're just
Yeah.
guaranteed like, oh yeah, you got like, cause my friend yesterday was telling me that one of her buddies, because the reserve life is so different. The fact that you guys can collect disability, but you're still serving. Like, like we obviously have to wait until our end of service, but because like, I don't know, I don't really get how it works, but you guys, cause I know a lot of people at work, they collect disability and I'm like,
Well, because technically you're refred. That's why.
I mean, sure, whatever that means. But yeah, so like she was telling me that a buddy of hers gets like 210% disability or it was rated at 210%. I was like, does that mean he gets like twice the amount of money? She's like, no, it doesn't change. It doesn't change how much money. It just pretty much guarantees that like you're fucked up and you're going to get everything that you do.
Yeah.
And she's like, you should be good. You spent 20 years of active duty service. Like these are people that spent like, a
year or 6 months or 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. We'll see. We'll see. That process gets started in April. But before well, it probably won't be before just because I'll be traveling, but I need to get a VSO like there in Ohio so that way I can start getting all this stuff like officially. Everything's documented, it's just that start getting the process to get all of it to claim.
Yeah, I know my friend, she had to call around to like the different MTFs, the different like hospitals at different bases to like get a compilation of because they want like the original diagnosis documents from the hospital where they came from, and it took a little bit of legwork. Now you might be different. I don't know.
I hope so because everything. So even when I PCS from Campbell, this is the first place they never gave me my medical record, which was like this thick when I left Bragg because now everything's digital. So like they had uploaded everything. I mean, there's obviously hard copies of, certain things, but like everything's, digital now. So like really the only thing I got to find that sticky note that has the addresses and phone numbers for all the facilities I went to here on the island because that's really the only thing that they're going to have to catch up on because they should be able to just.
And like I said, that might be different because she was active, but she was AGR. And so sometimes you're in a remote area that there's no on post documentation. So that might have been the documentation that she had to go float down was that kind of third party.
Right. Yeah,
remote stuff.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, it's a lot.
But yeah, so I've just been just trying to take it all in and enjoy each day. And
so what do you think the lesson of the week is for you?
It's a really good question. The lesson of the week. Take the time you need. I think would be that for me. And like again, it's just been things like I've been reading about like uh I guess you could call them like affirmations, or they're just things that I come across every now and again. And like one of them was, I'm trying to think about exactly how it was phrased, but it was basically like, this is the Liz Cliff Notes of it, but like, who gives a shit what other people think about you? Like at any level,
Mhm.
right? Because you know who you are, and that's enough.
Yep.
So like stop trying to basically work yourself to death for the validation of others, you
Love
know?
it.
And oh, I think what it said was, "Stop validating yourself through hard work," or something like that,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh my gosh," that, like, really hit hard with me because I feel like we talked about that earlier, how, like, the last week, that's what I mean, about how, like, I've always been, like, the go-to person, and it was like, I did that because I always felt like I guess I had to justify my existence,
Mhm.
like, I wanted to be the job security, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So it was like if I know how to do everything and I'm that go-to person, then I know that I'm always going to be like good here,
Right.
you know? And now I'm like, I know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of. And if you want to ask me and you want to find out, hey man, that's great. And I will work when there's work to be done, but like
Mhm.
don't waste my time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say I think just like take the time that you need. So if that means you need a day to sleep 15 hours because like shit is just like bananas, just nonstop, like fucking take it.
Oh yeah.
If
It's
you need to go
perfect.
on some walkabout and sabbatical or whatever you want to call it to like get your mind right and figure out who you are and what you want to like, take the time you fucking
Yeah.
need. Because like we
Absolutely.
said, this rat race bullshit about fucking, oh, I gotta like make all this money so that I can do this. How about I adjust my life and the things that, like we've talked about this before, about purging unnecessary
Mhm.
stuff, right? And that includes space, right? So, like, I had the big house and I hated it. It's so much to take care of and it's so much to pay for, and to for what? So, I have rooms that no one goes in.
Yeah.
You know, I literally had a whole house worth of rooms, like, not all in one space, but,
Mhm.
like, that really weren't utilized.
Yeah.
Why? So I could say I had this great big old house? Who
Right.
the fuck cares?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I got 1 bathroom to clean, and it's amazing. I mean, the kids have one that they have to clean that they
Right.
never do, but that's a whole whole 'nother
Yeah.
can of worms, but, uh, like, how about I just fit my life into kinda like your van life thing, right? It seems unconventional to people to not have a home.
Mhm.
No, you have a home, it just moves
Yeah.
around. You have all the things that you need in it to survive, and it's great to know that, like, I don't have to pay taxes on that. I don't have to pay, $3,000 a month to live there.
Yep.
I don't have to worry about my energy bill. Like, you're gonna have, like, these set expenses. It's gonna be really easy to budget your money, and then you can go and do whatever you want without really having to worry. You wanna buy it, you buy it because you're not paying for all this dumb shit,
Yeah.
you know? And, like, I get your need for storage in your current situation
Mhm.
because you're kind of in limbo right now and you're trying out like a few things. So like let's not burn the whole place down.
Yeah.
But um like the everyday person who has like storage units to hold on to like all this stuff. Like that's so much money for shit that you like obviously don't use on a daily basis,
Right.
and it's like just get rid of it and
I
then
mean,
use
I
that
think no
money
matter
to
what
go.
no matter what, I'll still have storage because, like,
Everybody's always gonna have,
but, like,
like, a
I'm not
little
gonna
bit,
have,
but
like, storage and then I have a house where I'm keeping a bunch of shit for no reason. Like,
yeah,
the whole point is, like, I'm going to, when I get to unpack my stuff, if I even get to that point, because it might just all go into storage from the start. But if I find a place and I get all my stuff delivered, I'm going to do some significant downsizing, and I'm going to find probably one of the smaller, because like I'm gonna get rid of the big stuff, like the couches, the TV stands, like all the stuff that I really don't need that is easily replaceable down the road. And I'm just gonna have some boxes in storage because like the stuff that's in those boxes are things that actually have meaning to me.
Oh
You know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So like, yeah, but I agree. Like, get rid of like I was the same way in Tennessee. Now, granted, when I bought that house, it wasn't just me, but when it was just me, I could have sold that house or rented it out and moved out into something significantly smaller because there was literally a whole half of the house I never even went to because like it was just too big for me and the boys, you know? So I probably could have saved, some monies there, but I don't like so
Well, yeah,
but like and and I had always had this dream like I'm gonna come back here because I love that house. And it's not because like the size or anything, like it's a beautiful home. It's my first house I ever bought. Like I love the area. And so I always thought I was going to go back there, but like the more I reflect on it, it's like a lot of things have been changing in Clarksville, and honestly, I don't want to live in a fucking neighborhood like that. I don't want to have my neighbors where I can like stand there and like I'm touching both houses,
yeah.
That's a little dramatic for what my house was because it wasn't like
No,
that,
but I
but
know
it
what
was
you mean.
close enough. Like I don't want that kind of life. Like I want
Yeah.
to be out in the country, away from people. I mean, I don't mind like the house that I grew up in Spencerville. So we had, I want to say it was like an acre and a half it was sitting on. And we had like, it was a street and we had neighbors, but like the neighbors weren't on top of, at least where we were. Like when you got like, so we are at the far end, like it was a dead end street. So we were at the dead end. And the one, two, three, four houses at the end. So there was one house that was at the very end of the road and then three houses on either side. We weren't on top of each other. Now, as you got closer to like the main street, then the houses were getting a little bit closer. But like something like that, where you have yards or a big yard, and like you don't fucking walk outside, and you're looking into your neighbor's fucking window, type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So, or just be completely in solitude and not have neighbors at all. The only thing that I have an issue with is I don't think I can get into like I don't know about well water and the septic tank. Like that's
Oh.
that's that's the one thing I'm like I'm very unsure about that.
So, I mean, it depends on how far out you go,
Hmm.
to be on well water. Like I'm not on well water, I'm on rural water.
What's the difference?
Which definitely has to be fucking filtered. It's so gross. It's got a lot of like sediment in it, but we just installed this thing like under the sink
Hmm.
and it filters it as it comes out, and the filter has to be replaced like I don't know every 8 months or 6 months or something like that. So it's not something like the Brita pitcher where like the water was so hard that like I was going through a filter like every 30 days on my Brita pitcher.
Oh wow.
Every 2 weeks, I'm sorry, every 2 weeks. Um, the difference is I don't know, it's a like it comes from a communal place. So but it's not city because we're
Hmm.
not within the city limits. So um and it's not like filtered and like cleaned like I guess city water is probably. But
With the added
uh
chemicals, like we got it. I love chlorine in my water.
yeah, right? No, there's definitely no chlorine in my water.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of like natural sediment in my water, like
Hmm.
where it was we would freeze ice cubes when we
Hmm.
first moved here, and like you would see the solid pieces in the ice cube.
Oh no.
So, but well water, so what well water is underneath pretty much every property there's a water table
Hmm.
underneath all ground surfaces, and they just dig down to that water table and create a collection point, and that becomes your well. So it's basically drinking off of like underground water.
Hmm.
And so depending on what is there, what you build, whatever is how big you um build your well or whatever. Like I had a friend, I grew up on well water, and then I had a friend, she had a well, and like she would dry her well out filling up her pool because she'd forget to turn the hose off.
Oh
So then
no.
she just kind of had no water until the water table came in and filled the well back up. It took a couple of hours. But that's
But
just
you don't
her
have to.
irresponsible negligence.
But so
But
then you don't have a water bill.
with well water, no. Nope. You just have the expense of digging the well
Right.
if there's not already one there.
Right.
So it's really not, it's actually kind of cool. But there are some things because it does come from the ground. Sometimes it smells like sulfur, which
That's the
smells like
part
rotten eggs.
that's the part that gets me is that
But
sulfur smell.
it's not, a lot of the time there's, filters on the pump
Mhm.
before it reaches your house, and so a lot of that gets filtered out, so that's usually when you know you have a problem
Mhm.
somewhere is when you start to smell the sulfur smell. So, there's a lot of different things you can do to kinda, like to get around that because, like I said, we grew up on well water, and I don't remember it ever smelling like sulfur unless there was a problem in
Yeah.
the pump or something like that. So yeah, so that's, no water bill to do well
So then
water.
what about a septic tank?
So I have a septic tank, and even when in my house in New York, we had a cesspool. I was not on,
That sounds gross.
no, it's kind of the same thing, it's just set up different.
Mhm.
Cesspools have, like, these concrete rings that go in the ground, um, and, septic is like a tank, like a sealed tank
Mhm.
system. Um But essentially, like, a cesspool is like an underground lagoon. It's just a big hole that they dig, and they put a concrete ring in there to support the ground, and the water just goes in there, and it just basically your wastewater collects in one spot. Like, there's people still to this day who build new houses and do lagoons, and a lagoon is just a swamp that you put in the back recesses of your property that nobody goes there, and it's a natural, they say it's one of the best things to do. It just kinda grosses me out because it's surface
Yeah,
level,
that sounds really gross.
um, especially if your dog winds up getting in that water, it's
Ugh!
super gross.
Oh my god.
But it just lets nature, so algae builds, and then the sun does, like, things to the algae, and then
Mhm.
there are bacteria that grow in there that break down all of the solid matter, and it's, like, kind of its own little ecosystem of waste. But the septic tank, is a tank that gets buried in the ground, same concept, it's got bacteria in it, and all of your, laterals is what they call them, but they're just basically long pipes that go out to the tank, so every time you flush the toilet or water goes down the drain, it goes into that tank, and then the bacteria breaks it down so that usually you can go, like, I don't know, some 20 years without ever really having to pump it out if you keep your
That
bacteria
was
in
that
there.
was gonna be my next question is, like, how often do you have to get it emptied?
Yeah, not very often. Again, as long as you keep your bacterial levels going, so you have to be mindful of, that's why you'll see a lot of things like when you're buying stuff that say that they're septic safe.
Mhm.
So like toilet paper, Charmin toilet paper is like a no-go on a septic system because it just doesn't break down. It turns into like paste.
Mm.
So there's a lot of companies now that make septic safe paper, and it just basically it dissolves faster.
Huh.
So like my washing machine does not go into my septic. It goes into a dry well, which is just a 55-gallon barrel full of rocks that has holes poked in it, and because it's gray water, not
Yeah.
wastewater,
Yeah.
it's just soap. And it just seeps out into the ground. And that's mostly because the washing machine, which front loaders don't use as much water as like a regular top loading washer, but the washing machine will overload your septic sometimes with like too much water. And so now you've got like watered down bacteria. So now you got to like beef up your bacteria, which there's stuff that you can put in your toilet and flush it and it goes out there and refeeds the thing. But it's really not something that like you really have to like think about as much as you think. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, when you're on city water, like you can basically flush whatever the fuck you want down the toilet and let it be somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Um, but the septic system, again, it just it's I want to say it's got a I don't know. It builds a sludge. I don't know. You have to research exactly how it works, but that sludge kind of like again kind of does that lagoon thing where it creates like a bacterial ecosystem, and then
Mhm.
all that bacteria just eats all the toilet paper and solid waste and whatever, and then so then the levels go down because, and I think the water might seep out like once it's gone through that bacterial, because I know like you can see where my laterals run in my yard because
Mhm.
the grass grows better there.
It's fertilized.
So I have these like really green lines that go across my front yard, but it's really not that bad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess like because I've always just heard horror stories about like well water and septic tank maintenance and all that stuff, and like
No, it's not that
maybe
bad.
that's just my
You
dad
just
being
like I said, there
dramatic.
are some things you have to be more cognizant of, like your use of bleach. If
Hmm.
you use bleach at all to like white wash your whites, which again, if your
Very
washing machine's
very
on a
rare. Yeah.
thing, it's not really a big deal, but like um chemicals, they kill off the bacteria that's in
Hmm.
the tank. So um little things like that, but like again, it's not something that's like, oh my god, we're on septic and I gotta make all these changes. Like you just flush the fucking toilet.
Yeah.
So
Change because I use
I
Charmin, so
think
I
your
guess I'd have to
horror
change it.
stories probably come from a tank that's really old
Hmm.
because like after a while they do degrade, 20, 30 years, whatever.
Yeah.
So if you're buying like an older home like we did, you just have to have it inspected and like we had ours cleaned out to just make sure that like we're good. And then like I said, the toilet paper. But usually your horror stories come from like if you add it onto your house and let's say you added another bathroom or another two bathrooms or whatever, and your septic isn't big enough. Or like when I was a kid, we had a problem with ours, but it was because the house was built in like the 1930s, right? Where indoor, like we still had an outhouse in my yard. So when they did the plumbing, they didn't do a big enough lateral. And so it kept clogging up with like toilet paper and things
Yeah.
like that. The pipe just wasn't big enough. So my dad just ripped it all up and laid a bigger pipe, and then we didn't have any issues. But it
Hmm.
wasn't necessarily the tank, it was
The
the
pipes leading up.
lateral.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Makes
I
sense.
wouldn't let that deter you. A lot of people live on it's basically just a hole in the ground where your poop goes.
Yeah. So gross.
It
Yeah.
makes your grass real green.
Yeah, obviously. Oh man, that's
But
crazy. That's interesting
yeah,
though.
but I like, yeah, I wouldn't let that like people do it all the time and there's different
But
ways of
that's like
doing it.
down the road because I don't really foresee myself buying a house anytime. I thought I
Or
was
like I
going to.
said, with the advent of like modern technology, right? Like uh you'd be surprised how far out you can go anymore and you're not on well water, you're on rural water, which
Yeah.
essentially I'm assuming is just a giant well that more people draw off of. But I do have a water service that I pay for. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, septic tank, also you're not paying sewage fees. So like when you usually pay either in your taxes or sometimes your like water bill will be like water and sewage.
Yeah.
So if you're on a well with septic or a lagoon or whatever, that's like a whole nother bill that you're not even paying for. So
Huh.
minimalize a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely
But
something to
anyway,
keep in mind in the long
what would you
future.
say real quick that your life lesson for the week is?
Um, I think patience has been a big thing for me this week. And I think I've been doing pretty good at it because like I literally like I have this list of on top of like stuff that I had to do at work and with school. Like I have like this whole list of things that I need to do before I leave. Today I only did 3 of the things that was on my list. So that's going to have to all get moved to. So I'm going to have a fuck ton of stuff to do tomorrow, but I think patience because like I had to manage my time appropriately. And that was like the most important thing. Like I think I probably could have got more done had I not gone out to dinner last night, had I not played video games on Tuesday. But I know that like with me packing up my computer, I'm not gonna get to play video games. So I wanted to at least get at least one more session in. I wanted to see my friend before I left the island. So like I prioritizing and patience, life lessons for me.
Yeah. And it's all
And
going to
everything
work
just
out.
and everything just worked out because like I got all my schoolwork done with the exception of I have to respond to 3 students and their presentations. So I'm probably gonna have to take my laptop in tomorrow and
Mhm.
hotspot it. No, I should be able to download PowerPoint as long as they don't have a YouTube link. That's the only thing I can't open up, obviously. So I should be able to do it at work tomorrow. So I'll have it done, and I'll be done with my school and get home from work early because it's Friday. You know, we're gonna get cut out early and get everything done. And I'm sleeping in Saturday, so as soon as I wake up, then I'll finish up what I got to finish up, and I hit the road. And I can take my time because I'm living out of my car.
Guess what?
What?
Tomorrow has arrived. We've been talking like this whole time that like you're like, oh my god, I can't wait. Oh my god, I can't wait. Oh my god, I can't wait. Like, can't wait. And I was like, and pretty soon it's
Yeah.
gonna be tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's gonna be, and it's exactly what I thought it was gonna be. Like, fuck, like I need another week. But it's fine.
No.
I don't need another week because I'm gonna get it done. You know, everything happens for a reason. And if I don't end up leaving on Saturday, fine, because
It's totally fine.
I have 2 months. So
Like, you have all the time in the world. You have all the time that you need.
Yep.
And it's gonna be super dope.
yeah. So hopefully next week we'll be live with the podcast.
Yeah.
And I should be in Oklahoma. I'll either be in Oklahoma or Texas when we go live next. So, you guys stay tuned. Make sure you have like the notifications on. We'll probably promo it on our TikTok and on Instagram to let you guys know. Hopefully I have service because everything's gonna be based like so from here until I am settled in Ohio for this internship. Everything's gonna be just, I guess, a day by day type basis because I might not have service, so we might not get to do a podcast. Definitely stay tuned. Make sure you have your notifications on, and hopefully we'll get to see you guys for a first live episode next week.
Yeah. Shit's about to get real.
It is. It's gonna be so fucking exciting. So I hope to definitely see you guys there. Make sure you guys follow us on all of our socials: Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, the YouTube. You guys can always email us. Nobody ever wants to email us. We keep saying it, but you know, you can email us and be like, hey, so you guys ramble on about your weeks. Like, we want to talk about this thing. Like,
You rambled on about the scientific method of laterals and septic tanks.
I learned a lot.
I mean, we kind of cover all sorts of topics.
Yep, we definitely learned a lot about plumbing today. But yeah, if there's ever anything, you know, it doesn't even have to be spiritual stuff. If there's just stuff you want to talk about, email us. If not, then I'm sure it's going to be pretty interactive, you know, when we go live because we'll have people in the comments. And God, it's probably going to be a 2-hour episode. It's not. We can't have it for 2 hours, but we might.
Your phone battery will die.
No, I got chargers, so. But yeah, other than that, like, I hope to see you buddies next week. I don't know if you have anything else you want to say.
No, just
All
take
right.
the time you need and be patient.
Hell yeah. Everything happens for a reason.
Yes, it does.
All right, buddies. See y'all next time.
Bye, guys.
It sounds in the